Dad, if you could figure out a way to guide me in this one, that'd be really great.
Well, will it guide you in this one? Why do you think you're here? Why do you think your father's here? I love it. She's like, Dad, if you can find a way to guide me. Hello, you're talking to the medium right now. Why do you think you're at this event? And right away, there's a couple souls that I'm sensing and feeling that are here and with you. But first of all, when I'm connecting, did your father depart?
Yes.
He's stepping forward first. Your father's here for a couple different reasons. First of all, when I'm connecting with him, some of his fondest memories are when you were just a little girl here in the physical world, he's showing me. And your father says to me, Matt, he goes, me and my daughter were so much alike. But the thing that he's telling me is this. He says to me that he wants to apologize for some of the ways that the two of you grew apart from one another later on in life, he tells me. That was no fault of her own, he tells me. He says, Matt, he says, please let her know that even though there was this separation between us, and even though there was this time where we weren't as close, he says, I still loved her just the same. Listen, your loved ones know what you go through. And your dad was pushing through because he tells me that every single day you keep going through and say, I wish that I spent more time with my dad. I wish that I would have gotten to have more memories with him. I wish I would have done this. I wish I would have done that. And he also tells me that before he died, this was unexpected. You did not know that your dad was sick or that he was going to pass.
Absolutely.
So your father tells me this. He goes, Matt, please let her know that she has nothing to be upset over. And you go back, he says, and you hold yourself accountable. And your dad says to me, listen, he goes, the one thing that I want to let my daughter know, Matt, is that I am so proud of her. He says, and that she was the daughter that I hoped in dreams for. He says, back when she was that little girl, because your dad says to me, I may not have always seen everything when I was here in this world. I may not have been right alongside of you to see everything. But he tells me that you would always fill him in. He would always see all the travels, all the adventures, all the things that you would go on here in this world. And your father said to me, Matt, I was so proud of that because your dad shows me you traveling all across the country. Is that true?
Yes.
And your dad said to me, goes, Matt, he goes, my daughter, he goes, I used to call her a little spitfire. He goes, she was my little traveler. He goes, I used to love to hear the stories. He goes, because she would call me. And your dad tells me the one thing that he didn't know, he goes, is he never knew where you were living. Why were you always changing your address?
My ex-husband was military.
Oh,
We moved all the time.
no wonder why, because your father showed me you calling him from different phone numbers, right? And I'm like, I didn't know if you were connected to the mob or what I was seeing, all right? Because as a medium, I don't know these things. But your dad showed me like you calling him from all these different states and you talking about all these experiences that you had. And your dad says to me that the one thing that he wanted you to know, he goes, Matt, he goes, I didn't know where my daughter was half the time. I didn't know where she was living. He goes, but she would always call in and check in with me. He goes, and all I knew was that she was happy. He says, and that's all I had to know. But please know that on the other side, your dad has seen everything that you've gone through in life. He says, and Matt, please let her know that I'm so proud because he needs you to know that. But the one thing that your dad wishes, the one thing that he didn't get to do here in this world, and this is something you're not going to like that I have to say, but I got to tell you, your dad keeps telling me, Matt, I got to tell my daughter, I want her to get back in touch with her family, he tells me. He tells me that he's so upset to see the family separated. He tells me that there's like these parting of ways that you haven't been in touch with your family and you feel all alone. This was unfinished business. He says, I wish that I would have gotten to fix this, he said to me. But he didn't have the opportunity to, he tells me.
Dad, if you could figure out a way to guide me in this one, that'd be really great.
Well, will it guide you in this one? Why do you think you're here? Why do you think your father's here? I love it. She's like, Dad, if you can find a way to guide me. Hello, you're talking to the medium right now. Why do you think you're at this event? Your father says to me that on the other side, when there's unfinished business, when there's something that your loved ones didn't get to do here in this world, they will do in the afterlife. And your dad tells me when I'm connecting, Matt, he says, please let her know that I will be helping her with this. He says, but there's one thing that you need to know as well. He says, you need to let go of what happened when he died.
Okay. Because
he tells me you're so upset. Because literally, your dad, what was going on with your father was kept from you here in this world, he tells me.
Oh, yeah.
I know. Listen, I know your loved ones come here to tell the truth and they'll tell me everything. And your father says to me, Matt, I have to tell her the truth. He says, I have to let her know that I did not want her to know what was going on with me. I didn't want her to worry about me, he tells me. So he says to me, Matt, I wish that I could take away everything that happened with her and the family. Says, because I died and you feel like the moment that you lost your dad, you lost so much. You feel like you lost your whole family all at once. Your dad says to me, you do not deserve to live life alone. He says, I want you to know that everything is fixable and everything is figure-outable. And I'm going to be honest with you. He just showed me social media contact. So when I see that, I don't know if you just recently, am I freaking you out right now? I'm sorry.
No, his first child just sent me a friend request on social media.
That was from your dad.
I got her out of my life because of a lot of different stuff. One of which is she refused to tell me about my father passing.
Your father said to me, answer that request. That's your first step. You just asked your father. We all saw it. You just asked your father for a sign. Dad, help me. You have that friend request. Accept it. This is your sign today. Your dad had to come through today.
Okay.
By you doing that, by you taking that first step, you're going to feel so good. It's going to be hard. But at the end of the day, he says, Matt, I don't want my passing coming in between her living her best life here in this world. He says, you deserve to remember me with the family. That's what he tells me. So I'm going to be honest with you. What your father tells me is that that's the first step. They're ready to let it go. And if you can be ready to let it go, that's the first step towards healing. He says, please let her know I haven't stopped guiding her. I'm guiding her right here. He goes, because this is my way of making things right from heaven. And he wants to let you know that. And I know you're going to get on there and you're going to say, you're never going to believe this, but there's this crazy psychic medium out of Rhode Island by the name of Matt Fraser that said the dad came through and said this, and this.
Honestly, I've been hoping to hear from my dad for quite some time. So I've actually been to quite a few of these.
Well, perfect. Well, listen, tonight, how crazy is it that tonight was the night that he chose to come through to reach you, right? And you have that friend request sitting and waiting there. There are no such thing as coincidences. Know that that's your dad's way of letting you know that he is there, that this is the time. And more importantly, he wants to let you know that as you live your life here in this world, please know that he is right there and with you. He is okay. He says, please tell my daughter that I'm so, so proud of her.
Thank you.
I'm going to leave you with that.